Now my thing is in the middle of your face. Okay. I'm gonna be looking there instead of looking at you, just so you know. I'm gonna be looking there instead of looking at you, just so you know. Got to have it. Hey, hey, hey. Some people really need it. Got to have it. Hey, hey, hey. Some people really need it. And to Pastor Brinkley, and good morning. The Grow Your Business Today program here at well, hold on. I'm just trying to get a little bit of feedback out of the way. Welcome to the WID Wake Up and the Grow Your Business Today program. I'm your host, Darswell Rogers. You listen to us across the Weezy Radio Network. WID Wake Up and the Grow Your Business Today program. I'm your host, Darswell Rogers. You listen to us across the Weezy Radio Network. There we go. I'm creating my own problems here in the studio this morning. So I'm saying we got a problem and I'm the problem. But again, welcome to the Grow Your Business Today program. You've reached man, we are just we're going to work this out straight. I'm the host, Darswell Rogers, of this program, and this is my second time back in studio since COVID, and so it is I who needs to work out some of the kinks in having this program flow a little better. So my apologies to the audience. It is Friday, the 9th of July, and we are all happy and blessed to be here together. I heard Brother Bricky and Pastor Brinkley decided they were going to become a combo and play over at Mount Olive, and I told them I would be at least an audience of one since they were novices, but you need to have a little bit of feedback, and I promised no matter what happened, I was going to be very positive in my feedback. So, you got to encourage those who are willing to take on new challenges. And so this is a special program for me. I've got probably one of my closest friends in Fayetteville, Brother Anthony Carstarphen.
Yes, sir.
And I, until this very moment, I hadn't thought about it that way, but you are one of my closest friends in Fayetteville. He's also my golf instructor, and we're here to talk about the business of golf, the challenges of developing a new business. And so, Anthony, first off, good morning and welcome.
Good morning. Thank you for having me,
Darswell. Let's talk a little bit about your career in golf, because unlike a lot of folks who've reached the point of being an instructor in something, you did not start as a child playing golf. You're fairly early, and come a little closer to the mic. I want you to get a little.
Yes.
Pull the mic closer, or whatever you need.
I'm closer. So okay. The experience I have with golf was having nothing to do, needing something to do. I was in North Carolina. I was getting out the Army, and I'm like, boy, I got a lot of downtimes, 60, 90 days until I.
And I'm curious, how old were you?
I was 24.
Okay.
So I was living on post at the time and went by a yard sale, and they had a set of clubs. I don't understand how destiny has its place in just a yard sale with some golf clubs, and where I'm at today in that first encounter.
Right.
I've been destiny all week. Like, this was destiny, that was destiny. There are certain things in my life that I see that, maybe God had his hand on.
Right.
And promotes where you are today. But what happened, I started playing a game, loved the game, quit the game for a year because of ministry. I was traveling around the state. My senior pastor didn't like golf, so I gave it up.
Oh, wow.
So
Okay.
that was a whole year that I didn't like it, and then revelation came to me and says, I enjoy this. Like, this is not sinful. This
Right.
is
Right.
actually really good.
Right.
And so I got into it again after a year or so. I got really good at it and was kind of recruited to be a pro. So it wasn't like my plans. It
Well,
was,
explain, what does it mean to be recruited to be a pro?
oh
And when you say you got good, let's be clear. What does got good mean? Because there's a lot of us out here who are frustrated golfers, and there's a whole lot of folks out here who claim that they can play.
right.
So what does it mean to get good?
Well, one, you got to score well.
But that's what I'm asking. What was the scoring that you were doing?
So I was shooting mid to low 70s.
Okay.
And so that was my average. I was roughly like a 3 handicap. So probably was a 3 handicap in less than 8 years. But what really changed me from saying an 80, 85 golfer, 82 golfer was lessons. I guess that's why I go so hard
Right.
at lessons. Instruction, true instruction made the difference for me. So I had, I guess my first lesson was my most worst lesson. $35 gave me a tip and left. So for that whole hour, I'm working it out. He says, work on your tempo. He didn't fix my swing. He says, work on your tempo. I'm like, how am I supposed to be a good golfer working on my tempo?
Yeah. What does that even mean exactly? I mean, give me a tempo to work on, at least.
So no epiphany came, but I was heading towards this promised land of low scores. So I did a clinic with Davis Love back, it's been 21 years ago now. So I did a clinic with him when he opened Anderson Creek. So he gave a clinic.
Oh, I didn't know he opened Anderson Creek. Did he design that course?
Yes, he designed the course.
I didn't know that. Okay. I'm
History
usually,
lesson. History lesson.
yeah, I'm usually into that sort of stuff. That's interesting.
So
Okay.
he came in, designed the course, gave a tip, and he shared something. I'm not going to tell you what he shared, but what he shared to me made the difference.
Okay.
I went out immediately and shot 39.
Okay. But that's for 9 holes.
9 holes, correct.
Okay.
So after that, then the next instance, so I was playing really good at that point. So I had a stint overseas, and then when I came back, I had a part-time job at Pinehurst, and that's where I really got crazy golfing. That's where it really went low, and
So I just want to understand, when you say you had a part-time golf
part-time job
at Pinehurst, doing what?
Pinehurst. So at Pinehurst, I was my part-time job just to get free golf. That was my mindset. So I was just bringing up carts, getting in the business, not knowing that that's going to open this Pandora's box of things you need to know. That was part of the business, the pro business. I wasn't sort of interested in that. I was interested in playing more golf.
Mm-hmm. So what you're saying about the management of golf is that part?
Right. I wasn't concerned about anything on the pro side. It's just they took a liking to me at Pinehurst.
Right.
The head pro, the #1 teacher in the state. They just took a liking to me. So I was making friends, and then I kind of start going into making more money on the golf side. So I start caddying there at Pinehurst, and was very successful, like a couple $1,000s a week. And I'm like, they're like, but you're not a caddy.
Right.
I'm like, but I'm making a lot of money.
Right.
They're like, to do what you're doing, you need to be on the pro side. I'm like, no, there's no black people over there. I don't want to go where no man has gone before.
Right.
Which I'll see people before us, but I didn't want to tackle that uncomfortableness of being a golf pro. So long story short, then as they recruited me, I was cornered 12 years ago on post. I just won a golf tournament locally, and the head pro and assistant pro said, "Hey, won't you come on this side? You'll make a great golf pro." There's that, no, but Jeff Johnson, who's my friend today, he's the director of golf on base, gave me my first pro job. And from there it's history. But my come to Jesus moment with that was, if I'm going to get into it, I'm going to try to be the best at it.
Right.
I'm just not going to check the box. Hey, you're a golf pro, yada, yada, yada. But that opened up such a big door for me, getting in the program. And then you got to score a certain number.
Right.
It took me 5 tries to shoot under 78 twice. That was like, dude, you do this with your eyes closed.
But the
mindset
yes.
of having
yes.
to shoot a 154 in 2 rounds.
Right.
That was a challenge. So I missed it by 1. I missed it by 3. It's so in my head.
You know what's funny about that? I have had a couple of single rounds of 153. So you're trying
I'm sorry.
Well, that was very early in my days, but I respect the pressure of having the number that you have to hit. That's psychology.
In addition, can I add something?
Uh-huh.
I'm the only brother in the whole compound.
Yes,
like,
of course.
Nobody pursuing their card. So you got to get past what others is doing and what your purpose is, and then pursue it. So there, I was at Chapel Ridge when I passed, and the first day I was 1 off the lead, so I shot 1 over par. So I shot 73, and I'm like, man, I want to win this. The next day, happenstance happened. The guy that was with me was irritating me for several holes. And I had a blow-up hole. So I think it was the 8th hole. I had a quadruple bogey, which is 4 over par 3. So I had like an 8 on, it was an 8 on a par 3. And I decided to get myself together. Like, okay, got irritated, made a bad choice. Let's rebound. So the next hole, I remember, now I've had a gazillion rounds, won a million, several tournaments since then, and play second too, or third. But that still stays with me because it's how you rebound in life as in golf. It's a parallel, if you would. So I hit my drive in the rough on the green, made par. So I come off, I was 4 over par at that point. So I just had to finish. And so I finished that round at 77, which obviously I get my card. But it's just how you get back into your game even after it goes awry.
Well, you just articulated a whole lot there in terms of a life experience. We're talking to Mr. Anthony Carstarphen, Carstarphen Golf Academy. He's a teaching pro out at Gates 4. He's also been working hard to get his own facility open here in Fayetteville. We're going to cover that at some point.
Yes, sir.
But the story that you told about having someone irritate you, you have a blow up hole, and then you have to say to yourself, okay, I've got to get my mind back straight and move forward. When somebody wants to understand why does anybody want to go out and golf and why play golf, it's the life lessons.
Oh, yes.
Golf mirrors life as close to anything else I've ever seen. And let me tell you a quick Wall Street perspective here, and or business perspective. Our view, and I used to do high leverage lending. Our view was, if you really want to understand your customer, play golf with them, because you will discover whether or not what kind of resiliency he's got.
That's true.
You will discover how he handles adversity and how he handles success, and you'll find out if he cheats.
Yes.
You'll find out if he cheats.
That's correct.
And it's 4.5 hours in a cart or walking where you really get to know somebody.
Yes.
And you just, there are things that you cannot find out in a conference room or a boardroom or on a Zoom call that you will learn in 4 hours on a golf course.
Absolutely.
And so much of that you just displayed in that irritation, blow up. How do I recover? How do I respond to the adversity? That's life, and that golf is a wonderful microcosm of life.
I agree. So one thing that the way I learned the game, one of the deacons in church who really got me to see, well, hey, there's nothing wrong with the sport, even though religiously someone was saying, like golf is of the devil. But he kept playing the sport and he kept playing, and the joy he's got out of golf. And I'm like, I enjoy golf the way this guy does. So by giving it up because of somebody else and picking it back up was one of the greatest things I think I've ever done. Because you do something that you like, something that you enjoy, and all the people and relationships and friends and lives I get to touch through this mechanism called golf. But you know, that instance at that golf course, it was the end goal. You know, I had to be looking at the end goal, and that end goal for me was not just to finish, but learn how to persevere through adversity. So it's been great, but I played the ball down. And that's what I learned from this deacon.
What does that mean, to play the ball down?
So whatever lie you get, you play it. You don't adjust it. That's that cheating thing you mentioned.
Yeah.
That's been the greatest thing, the greatest source in terms of me sharing with others how to play the game. If you play it down, you're going to get more rewards. You'll get better sooner. You'll be a better golfer. Just play it down. Don't make adjustments. The lie stuff, you're behind a tree, you're in a hole, you're in a divot. Play the ball down.
That's wonderful. I was taught the language is different. Play the ball where it lies.
Yes, absolutely.
Play the ball where it lies. You know, and it's so interesting. You know, again, up in New York, lots of very serious golfers. Not that there aren't lots of serious golfers down here, but when I play with my buddies down here, the idea that you roll the ball or improve your lie is just like a given.
Oh my goodness.
And they would drive me, they would be pissed at me because I wanted to play the ball wherever it was. I'm under a tree, I'm in a bush, I'm trying to figure out how to play it. And regrettably, I have accommodated the desire, because you know my ball was unfortunately out of bounds a lot, to move it. But the idea of playing the ball where it lies, that's life. You know, you can't oh well, I got a flat tire yesterday. I mean, you can't just like, well, I'm going to act like I didn't get a flat tire. No, you got to deal with the adversity that's present.
Absolutely.
We're talking to Anthony Carstarphen, Carstarphen Golf Academy. He's a teaching pro also out of Gates 4. So you decided to become, how long have you been a pro?
Oh, Jesus. So about 14 years.
Okay. And so you have moved from, okay, I'm a pro to, which I guess if you just become a pro, kind of the whoever the course feeds your directions, who you teach.
Yes.
So you move from that to, well, I can find my own clients. And then you move from that, and so kind of talk about your progression as a business person. You see, this is moving from an employee to a business person.
But it starts with what you desire. The number one thing in terms of business for me was referrals. So if I was doing well in business, I would have referrals. And developing that from the start was the really game changer for me. Getting referral business, a person comes in because 12 people told them, go see this person. They will never argue your price. They will listen to you, and they too will become a person who shares with 12 other people. So in terms of growth outside of where I'm at today or what club I'm at, it was, hey, do a great job, make a person better, work on lowering their scores, fundamentally make them better. If they get one thing, just hit the ball, hit it better, make better contact, swing more down, get the ball in the air every time. So there's little things that I try to do to make every person better, that it just started exploding. It started growing. Now I have a staff, and I still exist where I've been planted, but I'm around people that allow me to grow. And I'm around people who I deem are better than me, which I'm pursuing them and they're going higher and I'm going higher. So
Right.
I'm not around no one anymore who pulls me down
Right.
and you're too big, or, you know, I'm just not around those type of crab mentality or people at all.
Right.
At all. But go ahead.
I can't remember, but there was at some point in our conversations, it's been a long time ago, that I was like, well, why don't you make this a business? I mean, I said something, I don't remember.
I know.
And I said, why don't you do this, or why don't you do that?
I ran away from that for so long.
And he would come by and start talking to me about it. And I was like, well, what are you waiting for? You know?
I don't know. It was last year is when I got the revelation that we need to do it.
I mean, because you had a business plan written, or you was working on. You had one person written it, another person's writing it, and then this person, and you're going to send it to me. We're going to look at it. We're going to do this.
I did send it to you, but even when I send it to you, you don't get it back to me right away.
Well, you know, because if I got to ask a whole bunch of times, I said, well, you know what? If the brother's inspired, you know what? He will call me up and say, well, what'd you think? What'd you think? What'd you think? Versus you sent it to me and then there was no response. I got to trade off my time to brothers who's like, you know, really going to do something with the information. Because people ask me to do all kinds of stuff.
Oh yes. You
know, but it's real. That uncertainty, that I'm going to call it fear, the unknown. You know, you learned how to play golf, then you learned that you could improve somebody else's game. That's very different than deciding you're going to step out and actually have a business.
Right.
Facility, right. A facility. I mean, those are very different steps down a process. And you have made that final step.
So the step was right before COVID. Oh no, I guess it's during COVID. I guess it was
during COVID. It was during COVID.
Yeah. Why would I do something during COVID, right?
Well, because quite frankly, some of the best companies, if you go out 5 years from now,
right,
the companies that are making significant strides in growth will have been companies started during COVID.
Right.
And it's because disruption leads to creativity, which leads to innovation, which leads to new business ideas.
Right.
Perfect example, the largest transportation company in the world is Uber. It was started during the 2008 downturn, right, because people had lost their jobs and they needed to make money. And somebody said, hey, you know what? I can get people to make money off their cars if I can come up with a digital solution to connect people with the technology so that you can earn an income. That's what the founders of Uber were focused on. The largest hospitality company in the world is Airbnb. They don't own a hotel. They don't own a hotel room. It's because people had to pay their rent. Because during the 2008 downturn, they were struggling to get employed. And so they came up with a digital solution to literally have people come and stay in their houses. So the ability to leverage the value of your car, leverage the value of your home, and generate income was because of the disruption of the 2008 downturn. So COVID is going to do the exact same thing. When you look forward 3 or 4 years, you're going to see the exact same things. That's where innovation takes place. We're going to take a quick break here at the bottom of the hour. I'm talking to Mr. Anthony Carstarphen, Carstarphen Golf. You're listening to WIDU Wake Up.
So, you know, our business.
This day that you have given us, that you protected us through the night and allowed us to see another day. You did it again, God.
The business
we are
goes
so
well.
thankful. You gave us the opportunity to get it right.
I have the revelation to finish it, but having it on the second floor is a challenge.
Yeah.
Continue to push, pull, and
But I've done it. So moving to the first floor, you're gonna have to hold on. So that's, and I have support to do,
right,
to make money.
And so that's what I want to come back and have that conversation. The issues and the challenges right there. That's where I want to come back. Very frustrating, by the way, when we, I don't know if you can tell, but when you hit the table, you can hear the reverb and
I didn't.
and the enemy
I
of
was
our soul,
too.
the devil.
I'm in these conversations. I'm all, I'm all ears.
Oh, let me see if I.
Your program is so
Early
nice.
today and has sparked tornado warnings in Delaware, New Jersey.
Your
The
program
National
is
Hurricane
really
Center
nice.
says
Well,
was located about 5
And
miles
you
east of
handle
Atlantic City,
adversity
New
so
Jersey, with
well.
maximum sustained winds
What
of
adversity we
50
talking about now?
miles per hour.
As we came in
County's emergency
flow,
manager
it was
reported a tornado
disruptive
touchdown
Oh,
on
yeah.
terms
Thursday
of
afternoon.
the
Emergency manager
continuity
Joy
wasn't.
Williams reported
Basically,
the touchdown
he
in
should
the
have
Whitetail Farms
already
neighborhood
had
of
us
Fairfield
waiting
at about
instead of
3 p.m.
having
northeast.
people able
Biden
to,
administration has
the people that
unveiled
were doing the
efforts to
function was
help
pulling us.
protect
Yeah.
voting rights
So
as
he
complaints
should have
grew
got
louder
us to
from civil
where
rights activists and
we
other
could have stayed
Democrats
out
that the
there
White
until it
House
was our
has
time.
not done enough to fight
So it was
push
just
from
premature
several
for him to
Republican
come
state
in and
legislatures
ask
to
us to
restrict
come in
access
early,
to
because
the
then
ballot. Graham
it
County
was
has
that
one of the
maneuvering
lowest
that disrupted
COVID-19
everybody.
vaccination
Well,
rates
there was a
in
bunch of
North
disruptions, and it's interesting because I'm used to being off-site, and I'm used to when I set this thing up, I know I've got to turn off, because I put it live on Facebook. I know I've got to turn off the Facebook because that's a reverb. So I mean, this is just new environment, right? It's just but
And new
yeah, have to
people
pivot.
in here that weren't in here prior. I know the last time I've done this with you, you didn't have everyone.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's so much different, right? You got the nice headphones, you got the big mics.
Right.
The space has been soundproof. I had such a good time in here last week. It was really enjoyable. But yeah, it is. It's all about the ability to pivot, man. That's and that's why golf is so.
And so, and I'll tell you more. I'm glad of our process, because when we built it,
Yeah.
and they're coming and they're calling, so now I have to make it to where it's accessible.
Right.
Location
Oh, it's good.
virtually
Oh,
given to me.
Yeah.
Cost, the next one's going to cost more. Got it.
Right.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Hey, Wes.
Hey, my friend, how are you, sir?
So how do we get signed up for the golf lesson?
Your next one's free anyway.
Yeah, all right. Thank
You
you.
pay for the one after
I'm
that.
scared to get on the course with him until I get some lessons.
Oh, wait till he tell you what
Oh,
he's
yeah, I
done.
just said, well, no, it wasn't the score. I went tee to green with one ball, 18 holes.
Oh, really?
But tell him after 2 lessons too.
Well, and he bought me. He's been telling me to get good clubs with good shafts in them.
Everything.
And I just, equipment matters.
We got to play again. It was years ago. I think you and Alan beat Sandy and I didn't.
Sandy, not Sandy.
Who was with me? Was it Chief Monroe? Jerry Monroe?
It might have been Jerry Monroe.
Either you or
When
Alan
you
hit
say
like
Sandy, we said Sandy.
It's his wife.
We played with y'all one time. Might have wondered what time she played.
Yeah. She did play with us. You're right.
Wes, you got good memory.
Yeah, no. I remember now. I remember now. I can't remember though.
I just remember you or Alan hitting like a 50-foot pole putt on the 18th hole.
like Alan. He's famous for those crazy putts.
Hey, y'all got a great show, boy, man.
Thank you, sir.
Take care.
So that's like the pulpit though, like of it.
Oh yeah, hitting the pulpit and it's reverbing.
Have you seen the sermon for Sunday?
No.
Oh, I gotta send that to you.
Okay.
Get your comment.
How long ago was that we drove up to Charlotte?
Huh?
How long ago was that we drove up to Charlotte and met your cousin?
It's 5 years.
Is that only 5 years? I think it's more than 5 years.
No, was it more than 5?
It feels like it was more than 5. Let's put it that way.
When did you date old girl? Because we were at her cottage. We stayed at. But we were up in Charlotte.
That was like, I think it's more like 7 years.
It can't be that long.
Can't be.
Grow a business and raise and educate a family.
I think it's more like 7.
I'm not disputing.
I believe it's.
I mean, when did you put your
So
Carstarphen shield? When did you put your emblem together?
some who
Excuse me,
have
good morning, gentlemen. You
Hey.
ready?
Yeah, we're ready.
All right.
generation, others who have been brought here by the military and who recognize the wonderfulness of the city and the region and have chosen to stay. But we have wonderful people, and those people really make Fayetteville the place it is. And additionally, we have arts and businesses, and churches, and downtown, and educational institutions, 2 universities, and a great college. Fabulous Fort Bragg. We've got gardens and golf and homes and healthcare. I-95 right out of our door. We've got museums and nonprofits, and we just have a list of wonderful attributes. And I charge everyone to tell your Fayetteville wonderful story. And because if you don't tell it, no one else is going to tell it.
You are listening to the Grow Your Business Today program with your host, executive business coach and trainer, Darswell Rogers. Do you have a question or comment for Darswell or today's guest? Call 910-483-6111.
And welcome back to the second half hour of the Grow Your Business Today program. And yes, 910-483-6111. I have not taken a call in about 18 months because I have not been in studio. We're talking to Mr. Anthony Carstarphen, Carstarphen Golf. Anthony, tell folks how they can get in touch with you.
Yes, they can call Gates 4 at 910-425-6667. Or you can contact me on cell 910-670-3761.
And obviously Gates 4, that's the easy one for anybody driving.
Yeah.
Let's say, call out the Gates 4 Anthony Carstarphen. That's pretty easy. You have, I want to stick to this conversation about this business. So you've got a facility.
Well, yes, we have a facility, 1024 Southern Avenue. It has 5 simulators, everything from TrackMan to SkyTrack to OptiShot. And the vision is to make golfers better. So I spent a ton of money trying to make golfers better. And we built simulated turf, screens, projectors. So I have the whole bit. It's on the 2nd floor, and I think that's where I may build it on the 1st floor because it just needed to be more accessible to the public.
I just want to kind of have a kind of a frank conversation. You've had some real challenges, just in terms of getting kind of final approval to get this thing in place.
Yeah, and the city of Fayetteville is wonderful. They're so cooperative, and if they were more cooperative, it would be done. But going forward, it's a great lesson for me in this juncture, or any juncture, and helping others to deal with Fayetteville. And sometimes you got to get the right counsel. So I'm on my 3rd contractor, and I believe he's the best contractor.
The challenge, and it's a common complaint. Anyone who's attempted to put something in the city, there's just a level of complexity. And, back when I was CEO of the chamber, we had a conversation about providing an expediter, someone who in effect would be an employee of the city that would go out and actually help people who needed some sort of, permitting or otherwise, to tell them this, if you follow this path, do these things, I can get you through, right? I can facilitate you getting this thing finished.
Right.
And I actually thought at one point that the city had hired somebody who either I thought was going to do that, the person was going to report directly to the city manager instead of kind of being buried down further. It's one of those interesting questions, and if someone from council or otherwise wants to call and give some feedback, I'd love the dialogue. So this is not an attempt to just say, something's wrong, but I've spent enough time with people attempting to put things in the city to know that if they actually had a true advocate,
I agree.
That will get the businesses open more quickly. It will allow the business owner who is sinking significant amounts of their wealth into starting something inside the city, they'll have more of it left over if they can get the facts straight on the front end. It will allow the city to earn its income off of whatever it is, property, income, revenue, sales. I don't know how the whole play out more quickly if the businesses get open more quickly. It strikes me if you were to do a simple return on investment, and I have learned when you're talking about dynamics that play with government, and I'm a business person, that it ain't always as simple as I say, okay? So I want to acknowledge that I probably am missing some pieces to why it's not as simple as I say it is. But in concept, that seems like a win-win for everybody.
Yes, so that would make a huge difference in the city. I recall I had a contract that says, oh, this is no problem. This is no problem. And for example, I suggested that we use metal. I suggested we use metal. It would have saved me a humongous amount of money. And he was like, no, we should use wood. It's stronger. And then the inspector comes back and said, you need to use metal. So I feel like an idiot because I'm like the contractor, who's a big contractor in town, said wood.
Right.
I said, so I was right, but I have no clue how to
Right.
build. My job is to build golfers, not
Right.
build buildings.
Right.
So it's like, who do you trust? Like, how do you go about it? Unless you have this liaison
Yes.
who helps make that thing work.
Yeah,
That's a great idea.
And it's even, maybe the city needs, and I know this is, I'm throwing out controversial ideas, an approved list of contractors. Say, so if you will, the city says, you can use any contractor you want, but these particular contractors have gone through a city certification program that they know our rules. They know what we are required.
Right.
We have, if you will, invested in them the capacity to understand better what our requirements are, whereby, again, a way to facilitate to speed up the process. I'm not sure why those things don't make sense. Why they're not done. I came down from New York. New York has expediters. You pay, they're not city employees, but there are people who know everybody in the building department, everybody here, everybody there, all the inspections. You pay them the money and they say, I know who to talk to and I know how to get you from one side of this process to the other. And when we built that restaurant 26 years ago, initially we tried to do it without the expediter and we were bogged down because we didn't want to pay the money to the expediter. So guess what? You got bogged down, you got delayed, and then you still paid the money to the expediter. Still paid the money to the expediter. So, I think that there's just an opportunity there. And that's not a new, what I just said is not a new idea. I don't know why it's so hard to implement it.
Because a lot of the things, the least thing you think that could go wrong goes wrong. So the expediter could have saved me 10 grand off the bag just because they know this is not good, this is good. That won't work. So that the things I got from a few contractors that was wrong, they would have got me on the right path. So I would spend money the correct way. And looking back, you only want to use people with wisdom and people who understand what the actual law, the actual inspector, what they require in Fayetteville, because that was going to make things work. And there's some people that won't give you the right advice for whatever reason.
Well, we're talking to Anthony Carstarphen, Carstarphen Golf. He's a golf pro. Now, you have developed a very specific niche in terms of the youth.
Yes, sir.
So talk about your youth golf program. And do you have, is there something going on this summer? I know with COVID, maybe things are a little bit more challenging than in the past.
Well, actually, there's a lot of normalcy right now. Our junior program has a match in 2 weeks up in Raleigh, up at Pinewood Country Club in Clayton. We have a match there. We have 45 kids sign up for our junior PGA at Gates 4. Diversity is a diverse group of kids. I think I have kids from 5 to 17.
Okay.
And
how many kids?
45.
Wow.
Together. Okay. And then we have a junior PGA coming up in the fall, and I believe the Sigmas also are involved in that. So we have an outreach where we scholarship all the kids, but their target is just kids, minority kids. That's their whole target. So I think we had about 50 youth last fall. And so this fall, we're going to do it again. Callaway gave like 15 free boxes of sets of clubs. So a lot of involvement with the community and the fraternity. I think it's the Sigmas.
Okay, I'm shrugging my shoulders. There's certainly a fraternity called the Sigmas.
Right. And, one of the chapters in town, a bunch of doctors involved.
Okay.
Dr. Brooks, Dr. Edwards, or a bunch of fellas.
Okay.
And so that's an outreach. But the kids, my thing in terms of kids is I picked up the game late. So it took me about 7 years to turn pro. So I'm like, and then over the years, who really gets lessons? And I find out the youth get more lessons than adults. So I was like, wow, I could make a really dent in golf if I focus on the youth and those that are less targeted. So the youth program just grew and grew and to a bunch of them, just not a golf instructor, but a father figure, mentor, you know, and that thrills me when all my youth get scholarships, full rides to college, playing golf, this, that, and the third, and I get to mold them and make them. I got kids calling me from the Marines and from the Army, you know, so I get to touch people in ways where it expands what I do. You know, I have a wife, 30 years, I have 2 kids, I have grandkids, so I don't only affect my own kids, but others.
Right.
So kids, that's a passion. I grew up without a dad, so that's, you know, that's one of my pet peeves. So I'm like, hey, this is how you do it.
Right.
So one thing, preaching to my son, but hey, I'm gonna show you how to be a dad. So, you know, faithfulness, integrity, honesty, those things is what I demonstrate. And to the youth, I just try to pull out the best in every youth. And I believe in every youth that they all can be great at whatever they put their minds to do.
So you've had some youth go quite far competitively.
Yes.
And so share a little bit about that.
All right. So, wow, that's, you know, so kids can go pro, you know, and that's the goal. You know, there's an ulterior goal to go pro. So I've coached on a collegiate level at Fayetteville State. I'm on a high school level now at Southview. So I got some kids. I remember we were at a tournament down at Camp Lejeune, and one of my kids shoots 64.
Ooh.
And so the paper in Camp Lejeune, I remember like yesterday, it's been several years ago, they said, where's Fayetteville State? Now Fayetteville State's played this tournament for years.
And they said, where is it? Huh? He shoots 64. But
like, who's Fayetteville State?
Right.
Who's recruiting these kids? And so here we're minority there. Obviously, there's about 30 teams, and we're the only team with some diversity.
Okay.
Yeah. Like I had Fayetteville State, and they had kids of color on it.
Right.
But, you know, that was the situation. And right now, the school doesn't see that, you know, because winning is winning, and I get it. But I wanted minorities to be on the team. So
right.
That was my thing. And so I'm going to take the L or the loss because I'm trying to grow kids at a minority school where those kids can't go to every school.
Right.
Those kids aren't welcome at every school. And at a HBCU, they are welcome. So that was the challenge then. So it was sort of frowned on then because winning overrides development.
What does that mean? Winning overrides development.
Winning and developing a program of kids that look like us.
You're saying people focus more on the winning than
yes.
the development.
So if the school
they want to win, they don't
right.
the development.
So the color, forget the color. We want to win.
I got you.
Yes,
I got you. And so you're trying to build a cadre, a force of young minority kids who want to play golf. So you've got to, if you will, not always strive for the best player. You're looking to the player who today is the best, because you know that there's talent in some of these other folks. It just takes time to nurture and develop it.
Yeah. So what I had is I pulled a kid, a black kid from Florida, who should have been Division One.
Okay.
I said, come to Fayetteville, come to Division Two, and then he get Division Two, and there's not the love that the kid or the nurturing that the kid needs at Division Two level.
Okay.
Because it's golf. But
Okay.
here's a kid who can go and do exploits in golf.
Right.
So you got to, how do you develop a culture when the culture is football and basketball?
Right.
It's, so that's the challenge.
And I guess more broadly, when you look at, Tiger Woods hit the scene, he was massively popular, understatement. And quite frankly, my son plays golf today because when Tiger won his third U.S. Amateur, we watched it on TV. And I don't know if the U.S. Amateur had ever been on TV before. This certainly had not been in live like it was then. And after Tiger won his third U.S. Amateur, my son looked at me and he said, "I want to play golf." And that's how he started playing golf, 100%. And there was this massive influx of kids playing golf. Now, he liked basketball better. He liked this better, but he still liked golf. And I suspect that notwithstanding the fact there was this big movement of minority youth into it, there were still other culture still says you're going to do something else. And golf is an expensive sport, and it is a kind of a solitary sport, generally speaking. And, it's a 4-hour investment. You can't just go down the street and grab a ball and play, or go into the street and play.
Let's peel the onion some.
Yeah.
So to a good golfer, let's peel the onion some. So youth are easy to train, especially in sports, easy to train. Anyone can be a good golfer or even a great golfer. So you just so golf, you don't have to be terribly strong or athletic. You just have to be able to be repetitive and swing a club. And so it's hope for everyone. Golf is that sport where everyone can play. So we're not in a situation where no one can play it. So bad habits. Imagine me trying to teach a 40-year-old who's been playing for 20 years and always shot 100. And in one lesson, I'm trying to make him dynamite. I take a 10-year-old who's never picked up anything and teach them golf, and they can hit the ball and get it airborne, and they're excited after 1 hour. So, whether it's the guy who's paying me $150, I get more excitement out of the half the price seeing someone who's got confidence.
Right.
And so that's what, golf can instill confidence where there was no confidence. So I enjoy teaching youth because you make such a difference and get a long-term
and going back
investment on.
Right. And going back to our initial conversation about your process of becoming a golf pro and the adversities you had to deal with, golf teaches life better, in my mind, than any other sport.
Fact. Yeah.
And it's just so incredibly powerful there. The other thing I want to talk about golf, we're talking to Anthony Carstarphen, Carstarphen Golf Field. You can reach him by calling out to Gates 4 and just asking for Anthony Carstarphen. He's a teaching pro out there. Is one of the other amazing things about golf is that people at varying levels and at varying ages can play together.
That's a fact. So it doesn't matter what your handicap is or how long you've been playing. Everyone can enjoy the game. It brings everyone together. Whether you're a 0 handicap, 30 handicap, 15 handicap, you all can enjoy the game. It's really remarkable.
So I've experienced this. Obviously, my son can hit the ball over 300 yards. I'm really happy when I'm in the 240, 250 range and in the fairway. Right. My dad, God rest his soul, he could have gone out and played when he was in his 90s, and there could be a youth of 10.
Yes.
Or you could have the mother who's playing, they tell you for those who are not really familiar, based upon your age and your gender, they let you play from a different place.
Right.
They let you start someplace different. Right. That's one of the ways they even out the game. So you can legitimately compete against people with different skill levels. So they based upon your skill level, you start each hole in a different place. And then they have something called a handicap, which says The best golfer basically stakes to everybody else additional swings throughout the round based upon the skill level, whereby at the end of 18 holes, I don't care if the guy shot par. If you shot a little bit better than what the expectations were, you can still beat them.
Oh, fact. Well, Darswell probably would have beat me the other day because he played all day with his ball and didn't lose a ball for 18
Well,
holes.
I called Anthony after I played on 4th of July, and he finally convinced me. He's convinced me that aside from taking lessons, okay, that your equipment matters.
Oh man.
And the fight that we've mostly had was about equipment, not about lessons, but about equipment, because it's a little bit like, okay, if you're gonna go to a racetrack and race a car, and everybody else has got a Lamborghini, and you got a Volkswagen, I don't care how well you are at shifting that Volkswagen and moving that Volkswagen, you can't beat the Lamborghini. So in golf equipment, and that may be a little bit extreme, in golf equipment, it matters. And the biggest part is the shaft. People get hung up on the label on the head. They get hung up on how it looks and the grip. The shaft. Explain, because he put shafts, new shafts in the club. It was the shaft. All of a sudden, okay, I'm sitting there in the fairway and I'm like, okay, this is I can hit this club 150 yards. I hit the thing, 170. Uphill, what is it, at Puppy Creek, the par three ninth hole, 155 yards. I said, it's uphill, add 10 yards, and the pin's back, add another 10. It's in my mind, okay, I'm playing a 170 club. I hit the thing 20 yards beyond it with my 170 club. So that's really my 190 club. I'm like, how am I supposed to score well if these clubs are so freaking good? I mean, literally, that was going through my mind. So listen, we have reached actually about the end of the hour. Anthony, you got like 30 seconds to make a final comment and we're out the door.
All right. Well, my number is 910-670-3761 if you want to get a hold of me. But I see what Darswell just shared in terms of golf and lessons and teaching and instruction. That's what I get out of it. I get out of it is making someone better. They believe in themselves. That makes me excited on every level.
Right.
But we focus on the youth because that's our legacy.
That's our legacy.
They're going to take over after we were gone. So I want others to be better, and I don't want them to have that bad experience I had where the guy gave me 5 minutes and I paid him a whole hour.
Yeah, there you go. Brother Anthony Carstarphen, Carstarphen Golf. Everybody have an outstanding weekend. We're out. You listen to WID Wake Up. Your station for inspiration and